Well, hello to the pastors out there in Africa. We are a group of men who are committed to trying to make you successful. We've all been to Africa. This man is from Africa, from Kenya. And we have a heart for those of you in ministry, because as you minister to others, sometimes you don't know if you can put bread on your own table. And we want to try to help that. My name is Bob. I'm known as Bob 1 in Africa because my dear friend is also named Bob, so he's Bob 2.
Bob 2.
He's my bodyguard. You mess with me, you got to talk with him first. And so we have Peter from Kenya, a pastor, and we have Grant, a business owner here in the United States. These two men are business owners. This is being driven by both of these guys, really, who love business, who are in business, and want to help you succeed. So I think, gentlemen, in order for them to get to know us a little bit, Bob, why don't you talk about how did you get into business to begin with? You started off as a young age, right?
Yes, I started out at a young age, actually delivering newspapers when I first started. Came from a family of 5 with a father who was enlisted in the service. Not a lot of funds. Anything you wanted outside of food and clothing, you had to provide yourself. So that's what motivated me as a young person, is to, get out there and start doing business.
So you went from newspapers to landscaping, did I hear?
I did landscaping in the summertime between semesters of college. I dug ditches, had a construction business for a while. I had a satellite dish installation business for a while. I ran a dormitory for a while. So I've done some, of my own business and other businesses as well. Worked inside the automobile business for 30 years, but inside of that started my own contracting company to contract to help dealerships and etc. All the way through credit collection, credit repair businesses to currently what I'm doing now, which is the credit card industry.
So you've been in a lot of businesses. I'm not really a businessman. I run a nonprofit organization. I'm sure a lot of things you talk about would apply to me as well.
Sure.
Peter, talk a little bit about yourself.
My name is Peter. As you've been told, I'm from Kenya. I'm a pastor and a missionary doing church planting, especially more so in North Coast Kenya. And I've worked in several other parts of Kenya and outside Kenya. So the only business I've ever done is crop farming, horticultural crop farming. And it has its own challenges. And I'm here even to learn more about doing business in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're also here to help us say this does apply to Africa, this does not apply to Africa.
Exactly.
So you're kind of our quality control person.
To spice it casually.
Grant, tell us about yourself.
My little bit different than Bob. I'm a new business owner.
Yeah, okay. Bob 1 or Bob 2?
Bob
2, okay.
So he's started a lot of businesses along the way in his entire life, has a lot of experience where I've worked some jobs that really prepared me for where I am now. And so I'm a newer business owner. I've only been doing it for about 4 years, but a lot of those things leading up to this have prepared me for now. And ultimately, my desire is to see God glorified in the nations. So I looked into starting this business or becoming a business owner for that mission, right? But what's cool is along the way, as I've learned, as I've grown as a business owner, I've sort of found that, hey, yes, I ultimately want to glorify God in the nations, and I have a goal outside of the business. But as I've learned the business, I've learned to love it more. I've learned a lot about it, and it's honestly become a mission in and of itself. And so, I own a restaurant, and I've been doing that, like I said, for about 4 years. So It's been going great.
So, Bob, you've got a pastor's out there. He's thinking, man, I need to put bread on my table. I need to have a roof over my head. I need to be able to pay rent regularly. I don't own my home, and COVID killed the pastors, right, in Africa.
Really?
Killed them. Their people didn't have work, so no one tithed to them. They don't tithe money. They tithe eggs. They tithe potatoes. They tithe whatever, right? And so the pastors don't have anything, and yet people still come to the pastor expecting them to take care of them. Is that correct? You've told me?
And more so, it is out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. The churches were literally closed down. So even that opportunity for you to meet with your congregants maybe for them to give you whatever they want to give you, whatever you compel them to give you, there wasn't that room to do so. And so we had pastors suffering. Some had their houses closed because they could not pay the rent. Some had their church buildings taken away because they could not finance. If they were renting, a hall like this one, it was taken away. And unfortunately, we even had some whose marriages broke because you can't put anything on the table, and maybe the husband or the wife was not so persevering or understanding of the situation. I'm saying the husband and the wife because the pastor might have been a woman or the man. So these were challenges, but these challenges are also an eye opener, and that is why we're here. That's why we are speaking about business Africa for pastors. Yeah.
Bob, this has been on your heart that pastors can take care of themselves. Give us a big overview of the program you're trying to get going. You're trying to run, both of you. You've got seed money.
Yes, we basically got people to donate to adopt a pastor, to start a relationship with pastors by helping us get them started in a business. Again, the main reason with that is that we were asking pastors in Africa to do lots of things for us, to help us get food out to people and dignity kits for girls and et cetera. And while they were doing this, we were finding that a lot of these pastors were, as we were told, suffering in silence, that they personally were not being able to pay their bills, they were not being able to put food on the table, and et cetera. And we're asking them to do these things. So I just know personally that I have a heart for that, because I would not be able to do the mission work that I have done, go to Africa and do these things, if I did not know my family was taken care of. That would not allow me to have the peace of mind to do God's work the way it should be done.
So we have people who are investing money to give startup money for a business.
Correct.
And Grant, you've never heard this. I have a 14-year-old boy in Iowa who tithed his summer's earnings to adopt one pastor.
Wow.
Incredible. 14-year-old boy has adopted a pastor.
Yeah,
to empower them to start a business. So they don't just get this money and they've got to prove some things, right?
Yes.
So we're creating videos to teach them how to run a business.
Correct.
And then they're going to have to show us that they've gone through the videos, that they know what they're doing. Yeah. Then we'll be giving them the money.
They're going to have to prove to us they've done their homework, that they understand what is involved, the amount of work that's going to be involved, that they understand their marketplace, that they're going to be selling their product to, et cetera, all the way down to proving to us that you have thought out how you're going to build your chicken coop before we're going to release the funds for those things.
So, Bob, let's jump into it. Why a small business? Why would I want to start a small business? The number one
reason is money. Got to make some money. Got some bills I got to get paid, et cetera.
And this is not ungodly.
No.
This is not ungodly at all. God, what was the first thing God gave Adam and Eve? Work.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were created to work.
He told them to tend the Garden of Eden, to take care of it. It's work. Work did not come as a sort of a curse. That's a misconception, that people have held for a long time. That because God, because as a sort of the sin of Adam and Eve, we've been punished, and that is why we work. No, remember, God worked for 6 days. So if you say that work is a curse, who cursed God? Was God cursed?
Yeah.
Remember, Jesus Christ worked, apostles worked, the early church worked. We're gonna work.
So this is biblical for you to want to be able to put a roof over your head, food on the table. God knows this. Work is a form of worship in many ways. And so finances, the freedom of being able to put food on the table. And Grant, you have found that in your business?
Absolutely. And the thing I would add to that is not only is it something that's worship, but it's one of the main ways we worship God through our work is by letting it refine us. Especially those first few months, first few years, right? Those often are the times that are, it's like fire, right? It's really hard. God's sharpening us. He's making us more like Him. But what's cool is if you have a heart that's moldable, right? If you have a soft heart that wants to learn, I think a key to getting started here is, as we talk with all of you, is man, you have to have a heart to learn. You have to want to grow and get better as a business person, right? And I think if you have that attitude, so much of the passion that you need to be able to work hard to get to a point where you're financially sustainable is understanding that, man, like God is going to use this to refine me. There's going to be really hard times, but as I endure through those times, as I have the understanding that God's going to use this to sanctify me, I think that that's huge going forward.
Have you seen that, Bob, in your hours and hours of work?
Yeah. Again, I would tell you that when I first started my business, I put in a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. I drove 85,000 miles a year as an average for about 4 or 5 years. I had to sit with my family. I had to explain to my wife and children that I was starting a new business and there was going to be a lot of time put into this and effort, but I also shared the vision of what I believed it would do for my family later, the time I would have later to be with them, and the finances we would have and the things we would be able to do to help mission and etc. And that was the ultimate goal. And were they in with me? It was very important that they understood all that. But yeah, lots of hard work up front, especially with a brand new business. So I just wanted to make sure that we understand that just like you are to be a good steward with God's money, this is God's money, you have to do the same with business, okay? And that just because you want to make money, if you do not know how to properly do a business, to be a good steward with this business, not only will you not make money, you will very well lose the money you do have now. Okay, so it's all about being able to do business correctly and being a good steward with that monies. That's going to be important. Just the desire to make money, and if that is your only driving factor, is I'm going to need to make money, you will more than likely fail.
Yeah, and when you are speaking about, Grant was speaking about God refining us, God working on us through this. There is a crop of some gospel of quick fixing, thinking that we are going to have it, in the smooth way without working. And perseverance, consistency, endurance are virtues that we are no longer preaching, but they are virtues that we need if we are going to be successful in whichever business we are going to get into. For example, in the book of Ecclesiastes, the Bible says, plant your seeds in the morning and in the afternoon, do not let your hands to rest, because you do not know which one will grow, whether this or that. Mm-hmm. So when it says whether this or that, it means that there is an assurance you'll have profit from that, but you have to work. So understanding that finances, yes, but are we ready to persevere to grow those finances instead of just thinking that we are going to do some funny gimmicks, miraculous things and gain out of nowhere? No.
Yeah.
If I could just add to that really quick, I think so often we think that we rely a little bit too much on luck. Mm-hmm. And when it all comes down to it, when it comes to business, luck is not really a thing. The majority of businesses succeed because of the solid foundation that's laid from the beginning and hard work. There's no shortcut to hard work when it comes down to it. And so I think, yes, God blesses us, and oftentimes he surprises us with blessing, but the majority of the blessing comes in what he does to us as we work hard and as we learn, right? And so I think that's absolutely key. Yes, we're Westerners, and we may have some knowledge that we're trying to share with you all, but when it's all said and done, there's no magic formula that we have. I mean, we all get there the same way. We're just going to share some wisdom with you, but when it comes down to it, it has to be something that you all commit to, because we don't have any magic potion that you can drink. It's all the success is gonna come the same way for 99% of you.
Yeah, that reminds me of an acronym that I've used in training and stuff in the past, which is the word luck itself stands for laboring under correct knowledge. Okay,
so that's
you
the best
make
luck.
your own luck. If you do the right stuff, you do it consistently over time, you will appear to be very lucky because things will just come together based on all that hard work and that effort. So there is no luck. You make your own luck by laboring under correct knowledge.
So, Bob, in all of this, we're going to get to your point number 2, which the next one is freedom. You think, if I have my own business, I'm totally free. I can do whatever I want.
Free to be my own boss. No one's going to tell me where to be, how to be, when to be. I'm free to come and go as I want. I'll set my own schedule. This is like the ultimate way to make money and be in total control. Not true. Especially in the first years, Grant, you would say. Your first few years in the business, it is a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of time put in to a business. So you're running a chicken business, okay? Who's really in charge? The chicken. The chicken's going to tell you when you have to get up, when you have to feed, when you have to clean, so they're really in control of yourself at this time. So the boss right now, your chicken.
How was your startup?
I would say it's really the same thing. I think you have such little control, especially in the beginning. I mean, again, like so much of being a business owner is understanding that right around the corner, there's a disaster, right? And so if you go into it with that mindset, knowing that there's going to be a problem right around the corner, it could be a chicken getting sick. For me in the restaurant industry, it's people maybe not showing up or there being a problem with a guest. When I understand that, hey, I can get that phone call at any time, but I'm going to figure it out. And actually, not only are we going to figure it out, but it's going to leave us in a better place than we were before because we'll have walked through those hard things that come up. When you have that attitude of resiliency, I always tell people resiliency, I think, is the number one. I would say it's the most important trait for business owners. Understanding that there's going to be bad things that come, especially in those first few years, but forever, honestly. But it's those first few years that God uses and uses those hard things and really develops in us that attitude of resiliency that's absolutely key for the long-term success.
Grant, keep unpacking resiliency for those who maybe don't have the English language as their first language. We're talking just hard work.
Yep.
Not going to give up.
Right.
We're going to plow through this.
And really, yeah, just the attitude of getting back up when you get knocked down. Even in Proverbs, I think it says, the righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up. And I think that obviously that's dealing with righteousness. But in the same way in business, there's going to be times we fall, things go poorly, but we don't give up. We endure. We have an attitude of, hey, like, yes, this is hard, but how am I going to leverage this hard thing that's happened for long-term growth? How am I going to leverage it to change and adapt to whatever's needed to run the business well. So,
Peter, this sounds like hard work.
Yeah, it does. And
Average pastor's ready for hard work?
average pastor should be ready for hard work. There's no option about this. We must be ready for hard work. Especially, let's know that we are doing this not primarily for us, but for Christ. Colossians chapter 3, verse number 17, Colossians chapter 3, verse number 23, it speaks the same. Just as 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse number 31. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1 says that whether it is in eating or in drinking, do it as unto the Lord. Colossians chapter 3, verse 17 says that, and whatever you do, do it as unto the Lord. So, even if it is in this business, we are doing it as unto the Lord. The Lord will be more glorified when we have something that we can give out, because even the Bible says it is more blessed to give than to receive. And he who refreshes others will be as well refreshed. So we must be in a position to refresh other people. And my friend was speaking of an acronym, luck, and also time can be as an acronym, especially in this time, because time may mean things I must experience, things I must endure. So may the Lord help us to be able to persevere, to experience some challenges in order for we to have a breakthrough tomorrow. So we should be ready.
We should be ready. And yet, Peter, in our conversations, since you've actually been here even, you're telling me that sometimes the average African, maybe Kenyan, doesn't have the mindset that I'm going to do whatever it takes. Maybe I've got trained in this one business in college, therefore this is the only thing I'll do. I would never go and shovel chicken poop. That would not, that's below me.
It's unfortunate that education that is meant to unlock the minds of people has at times enslaved those minds. That just because I trained in a certain profession in the university, in my diploma level, or in my degree level, I can never do anything outside that profession. You are enslaved. But we need this freedom, even as we're speaking about freedom, we need freedom of thought. We need freedom that we can try something new. We can sit and be trained to do something that we did not grow up learning. And even I can give an example of myself. I grew up in a tea zone whereby people grow tea, people grow coffee. And I went to a place to do missions where they don't know what it is. They don't grow tea leaves. They don't grow coffee. And what do they grow? They grow green grams. They grow watermelon, something that I didn't grow, growing. I was not brought up growing. So I had to learn to sit down with those farmers. They tell me this is what we call green grams. So that flexibility, willing to learn something new, is going to help us. And that is why this team is here. Our friends are here, are coming to us to speak to us more so about financial literacy. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 13 and verse number 20, he who walks with the wise shall be wise, but afraid of fools will be destroyed. Let's cooperate, walk with these wise so that we can be wise, business-wise.
Now, Bob, in freedom, some of these pastors might say, wow, you're giving me all this money. I'm free to do with it whatever I want. I've got relatives who need help. I've got children's schools I've got to be paid. Talk about that.
Yeah, this is one of the concerns that I would tell you that I think is going to be a big challenge for Kenyans and Africans, is that you're going to have to think about the future. I know that you're struggling day to day to figure out how you're going to live day to day. I've witnessed that when I've been on mission, that you're just worried about how am I going to take care of my family, feed my family today. But when you have a business and to really get the most from your business, to meet the end goal that you have set up for financial freedom and being able to do these things, requires that you're going to have to suffer some things up front and be able to understand that it's about what you do tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, that is going to be the payoff. If you do something today, kill a chicken to feed your family, you are going to delay and or possibly destroy the what we are trying to build. So this idea of that, I think you had mentioned to us in the past, delayed gratification. Can you talk about a little bit about that?
Yeah, God gives the bread to the eater and the seed to the sower. What you're placing in our hands is a seed, it's not bread. But we have to grow this seed in order for it to be the bread. And that is why where delayed gratification is needed. For we must learn to use one of the most important words, 2-letter word, N-O, no. We must be in a position to say no to some sensations that I think I need an updated form of phone. I need a sharp suit, just like my neighboring pastor or something like that. These are things that can wait. They look like emergencies, but they are not emergencies. And if we need to attend them tomorrow, then we need to persevere today. We need to delay that gratification. Yeah.
Just going to add, the thing I've always heard and really has stuck with me is we don't want to trade what we want most for what we want in the moment. And so much of life in general, I mean, we see that with sin, right?
It's momentous.
It's momentary, and it might gratify us for a moment, but it's not what we want most. And I think when it comes to business, there's so many times where we have to sacrifice. And I think discipline, the type of discipline that you're talking about, I mean, it's hard when you have the bread or the seed in your hand to immediately turn it into bread and to eat it. But what do we want most? Well, we want a business that's going to provide long-term freedom. Not just financially, but with our time, so that we can serve in a way that maximally glorifies God. And I think it takes discipline to do it. There's no shortcuts.
When I was growing up, my grandparents did not have money to buy certified seed for corn, what we call maize, in order for them to plant. And so after a harvest, they would select the strong maize, the strong product. And what they would do, they would tie those tuck and, tie them in the above where they are cooking in the kitchen, so that as they are cooking with the firewood, the smoke would dry it and make it look black. No one can go to eat it. Why are they doing this? They are messing up so that they will not eat it today. It will be planted in order for it to be eaten in future.
So they would not be tempted.
They will not be tempted.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
even if I got tempted, I cannot eat that one because it is already messed up by soot, by smoke.
And you can still plant. You can still plant it though, and it will work.
It
It
did.
just isn't good for you.
It
Oh,
did.
wow.
It's a way of preservation. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some sermons on that one.
Man, that's like the first thing I thought of. I was like, wow, there's a lot of analogies.
So, Bob, the third thing you say in your outline is if you want to run a small business, you need to have fun. Talk about that.
Yes, I would tell you that most people that start a new business, the main reason they do it is it's something they had a passion for a long time. I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to have a certain kind of business or whatever. And so that passion goes a long way in a lot of things. When you have a lot of passion for something, then you'll do it longer, you'll do it harder, you'll do it more often, because not only you enjoy doing it. Okay, so it'll help you persevere through tough times and situations, etc. So the challenge here, I think, for pastors is you all are called to be pastors. You're not called to be chicken farmers. So you cannot convince me anyway, that this is going to be a big passion for you that's going to drive you through tough times. Literally what's going to happen here, I think, is you're going to understand that if you want to mission for God and do God's work and etc., the business is a means to do that. And your drive is going to be, if I have a very successful business, I can go do what I really love to do, what I really have a passion for, to go do God's work, to glorify God. So that is going to be your drive for this. It's not going to be that, hey, I've always wanted to be a chicken farmer. Okay.
Can I add to that real
Sure,
quick?
absolutely.
I mean, that's so key. And I think what's cool, though, is as we learn and as we start seeing success, we actually start enjoying things more, too. And so it is a means to an end. But I think what so many of you will see is as you learn, as you see a little bit of success in the business, because there are a lot of hard times, and there's no doubt it's hard. So much of it is not fun. But there's also those moments where we see breakthroughs, right? There's those moments where we see ourselves learning and growing and being refined. And it's those moments that we actually God starts opening our eyes to opportunity, new opportunity to do mission within our business as well. And so it's still a means to an end, but it's not wasted time either. God opens a lot of doors, even within our business, to bless people and to, again, be refined. And
Well, Grant, you alluded to it earlier, but that is one of the key reasons you went into this business, is that you had a heart for the nations and you wanted to generate funds to touch the nations.
right.
So you've had that big picture. You want to be involved in missions overseas. That's part of why you're here on this board. You want to be a part of that. And secondly, but also that's your big passion. Talk about the little passion. How are you seeing lives changed in the people that you employ?
Absolutely. I mean, if you would have told me when I was in university that I would be running a restaurant, I mean, I would have said you're crazy. I mean, I had no passion at all for the restaurant industry. It's just not something I was attracted to. But again, I knew that I had this end state, right? Of I want to have the freedom to do the things what I really want to do, which is see Christ exalted among unreached people groups and among the nations. And so as I started the business, I started seeing all these other areas that, man, I actually enjoy this, right? I enjoy the restaurant industry because I get to lead teams. I get to impact people for his namesake. I get to bless people. I get to be generous with my business. And these are all things that maybe weren't there initially, but I saw as I started the business, those were things that were enjoyable to me. And I ended up not just always looking to a future state, but I saw, hey, like right now in my business, I can glorify God just by being faithful. And I actually enjoyed that part of the business process.
Yeah, we always talk about amongst ourselves that kind of a mantra for us is we are blessed to be a blessing to others. I didn't start out doing what I'm doing with the idea that I was going to go bless other people. It was just something that touched my heart as I grew a business and as I got to know Bob and others and et cetera. And obviously I started to really understand how important that was, how it made me feel, et cetera. And so I say to you, just like this business, that it's very biblical, that if you do good things with God's money, this is his money, you're a good steward with it, the more you seem, at least for me, the more I've been blessed by my business to do more in God's name. So as COVID has happened, for example, okay, where a lot of people had less income here in the States and et cetera, my income has actually increased a little during this time frame, and I have not even been able to work. Okay, it's just the nature of my business. But what I'm saying is that I have been blessed many times over, okay, and I believe that blessing is because I am trying to do God's work with this and continue. So the harder you work, when you wake up at 4 a.m., okay, to work on your chicken business or farm, I promise you it's not money that's going to motivate you at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, it's gonna have to be that you know that it's in for the glory of God, that you're here, that I'm doing this because I'm doing God's work and he needs me to be here right now to do this.
Peter, does the average pastor in the bush have a vision beyond their church?
Yeah, many do. I've talked to many, and they do have that vision. And fortunately, when we look at the Word of God, the Christian life, Apostle Paul in the New Testament, in one of his 13 letters, he has likened it to three things: a runner or an athlete, a farmer, and a soldier. Those three individuals, they gain whatever they gain because they are selflessness.
And discipline.
And discipline. We need to be selfless. So setting that goal and having a purpose within that goal, because goals may shift, but the purpose needs to be steady. That my purpose is to glorify God through what I am doing right now, the business that I'm doing right now. And so just as an athlete, you sweat, and whatever when you win, coming from Kenya, we compete with the Ethiopians and the world. When you win, other people rejoice together with you. And that is why I'm saying my perseverance today will have a ripple effect tomorrow. My delayed gratification today will have a ripple effect tomorrow that will be helpful to my parents who called me yesterday when I had seed and they needed bread. And I graciously said no, in order for me to sow that seed, in order to have bread for my family and even for them tomorrow. So there'll be a ripple effect. But
Tomorrow is months down the road.
tomorrow, months, years, sure.
So Bob and I have been doing some studying on a separate men's group, and one of the things is that you have two judgments. Your one judgment about your salvation, and then one judgment is going to be basically your inheritance, your reward in heaven, which is based on works, what you do in God's name during the time frame you're here on earth. Your business is going to be very much the same. You're going to work hard in your business and you will reap a reward later. Okay? That's how every business, the harder you know the person who has this business has worked at that business, the better the reward or the situation is. Mine is I worked hard for 5 or 6 years. Okay, today though, I have more time, more availability, more finances than I've ever had before because of the hard work I put in up front. Same thing, even from a biblical standpoint. The work you put in today in God's name will be rewarded to you in heaven on Judgment Day.
And I want to just emphasize to you, pastors, what he's saying, that we're held accountable. You're being given a gift, a tremendous gift, a startup for a business. And I want you to think that your investor was that 14-year-old boy, a young child who said, I want to do this. I want to make God famous by investing in a pastor. You will stand before God on Judgment Day, on the second judgment, when you stand before the bema seat of Christ, and Christ is going to say, how did you do? You heard what they wanted you. You heard that they wanted you to invest this long term so that you can keep this business going for years and years and years. How did you do? You're going to stand before Christ. All four of us are going to stand before Christ. That's why we're here. We want to be held accountable. So always keep that in mind. So we've got 7 videos, 7 teachings we're having them go through. Is that correct? 7?
Yeah, should be about 7.
So 7 videos that you need to go through before you can take the test to see if you qualify, so that this man can say and that man can say, yep, they've got it, and then they're going to invest in you. So listen to these, and I encourage you to listen to them more than once. Listen to them 2 or 3 times. You'll pick up more each time. But for now, thank you for listening to video number 1, on which why a small business, and we'll see you in video number 2. Thanks.
Thank you.